Hi, I'm Sharon Spangler, and welcome to Reno TV. It is the season for baseball, and that's what we're going to be talking about. My guest is Dan Gustin. Welcome to our program.
Sharon, thank you very much.
Are you excited about the Aces' third season?
Absolutely. The Aces look like they have a loaded team this year. I was talking to some people about them, and they have some people with real experience, some big league experience. They have some people that are very experienced in the AAA. They've made some trades. They're looking for a very successful season on the field.
That's great. Third season, how are the sales going for tickets?
They are. People are still enamored. They love that stadium. And if the team can win to the level they want them to win and get in the playoffs, I think it'll be just what people are looking for. They really expect that Major League or AAA baseball in this case with some real Major League players. I think you'll see more people going up and down this year than in the past. They have people that just quite didn't make the big club this year and were sent down, and not everybody has a great year at the Major League level. So I think you're going to see some movement. There was quite a bit of movement last year, but I think you're going to see some very positive movement upward for a lot of the players. Now, how that'll affect the outcome, I don't know. The other advantage is you have Brett Butler, who's been here for 3 years. He understands the travel. He understands the goods and bad things about the league and what has to be done. And when you have an experienced manager with experienced players, it's usually a very, very good combination.
Well, from the look of things, it looks like the weather may be on their side because this month is turning out to be a great month.
It does. It's been a funny year, all right. We've had a record snowfalls and we've had all those kind of things. We're going to have plenty of water, but I hope the weather does work. Now, their opening series was delayed 2 games. In Salt Lake City. That wasn't here. That was in Salt Lake City. But then they came back and they won that series. They won the last 2 ball games of the 3-game series. So they're home, and the series is well underway now. The season's well underway. So I think we're going to see some really good things from them.
Sounds like they're off to a good start.
Yeah, they are.
How important is it more than ever for the community to really get behind the Reno Aces?
Well, I think it's good for the Aces and it's good for the community. Anything positive in these times that we've gone through the last 2 years, negativity has really risen its head and been part of the problem for everybody. It's hard to be half full all the time, have that glass half full. And the Aces, by contributing and getting out to a ball game and having you be out there and forget the problems or trials or tribulations that are going on in your life or your business or around your community, help a great deal. So I think they're a very positive influence. I hope people enjoy them. Tickets, you can have season tickets, you can have special offers, 13 games, 26 games, whatever it has to be, or you can buy individual tickets. And you and I have talked before, it's very affordable, it's a lot of fun, and the thing where they really hit a home run, to use the baseball parlance, is with the stadium. The stadium, I mean, some people say, well, they don't like the Diamondbacks, they may not like the Aces, although you hear very little of that. What everybody comes away with unanimously is they love Aces Stadium. They love to be there, the intimacy of it, the surroundings, the people that they're sitting next to. It's really a good time at Aces Ballpark.
I'm pretty sure the Aces also changed their ticket structure this year so that they would open it up to more people. You don't have to have necessarily have to have a season ticket.
No, they did. And the great thing about it is when you talk season tickets, you're talking 72 games. And there are very, very few people who can make 72 games. I mean, things come up in your life, your work, your business. So, yeah, they've tried to expand it so everybody gets a good shot at, if you want to sit down the third base line, or you want to sit in the first base line, or wherever you want to be, you've got a great opportunity. And they've even changed the menu items. I don't know what they are, but they've added new menu items, listening to what people have to say. They still have 50-cent hot dog day. So, you know, getting out and enjoying a ball game can lift your spirits, whether the Aces win or lose. You'd love to see them win, obviously, but can lift your spirits and I think be good for the community.
Do you think Reno is turning into a baseball town?
You know, I've always thought that is a very strong baseball. Northern Nevada is extremely strong. And when C.J. Clarence Jones started this whole thing, it was really Sierra Nevada baseball. It wasn't Reno, although the initial park, as you know, was scheduled to be out in Sparks, where the Legends is right now. I remember walking the property with CJ, and he told me where it would be and how it would be set up and why home plate had to face this way so the sun wouldn't be in the batter's eyes. But it was always thought of as being Sierra Nevada baseball. When that means Susanville, that means Fallon, that means the Carson Valley, et cetera, et cetera. We kind of call it Reno now, but it really has been Sierra Nevada baseball. Back to your question. I've always thought that football when it comes to the fan base, I think football gets more people excited, and I don't know why the participation is more in football. Baseball's been second, and then other sports follow that. I think baseball, because of the success of so many local kids going on and playing professional baseball and getting to the major leagues through the university and through high schools here, it has always been a favorite sport. And weather, you know, when you look at the weather, you wouldn't really think so. You think, wow, baseball, boy, that's tough in northern Nevada because the weather's tough. But somehow people have their love for baseball. Maybe it's the Giants in the Bay Area. Then when the A's moved in, maybe that has to contribute with it.
Well, I was going to say that I went up to UNR when they had the Giants World Series trophy there, and they had nearly 2,400 fans from Reno, and I'm sure, you know, Sparks and Washoe County. Some people probably came in from Fernley. They were so excited to get up and be able to touch that trophy. That says a lot about baseball, I think.
Yeah, it really does. That's a great point. I'll tell you one other thing that maybe a lot of people don't know. The Giants in their opening series at home, they were on the road to start things. They got their World Series rings. The very first baseball team to win a world championship to give its players rings was the Giants. Then they were the New York Giants. They started the tradition way back when. Now you hear athletes talk all the time at whatever level. What they want to do is get the ring. Right. They always talk about the ring because that's been synonymous with the championship. And the San Francisco, well, now Giants, but the New York Giants were the very first ones to give their players and their coaches rings. I think it was 1920. If I remember, I think it was 1921, the first ring that was given out.
That's interesting. I also think that Northern Nevada has a disproportionate number of young men who go on in baseball. I mean, it's really been sort of striking, the number of people from this community that have gone on to play.
It really is. There are quite a few people through the university. Their outfield at Piccoli Park at the university, I don't know if you've been up there recently or not, but every year they add a player or players that have gotten to the major leagues, and now the outfield fences are just about full. Chris Dickerson, Lyle Overbay come to mind right away. Those are the most, Dickerson is the most recent. You have Eddie Bonine Jr., who's with the Phillies and their AAA team now, and it goes on and on. Joe Inglet, who is playing, just got traded. He's with, I think, Houston. You've got the catcher who is with the Marlins. You've got Scott Cousins from Sparks, who is playing with the Marlins now. Right. Everybody remembers Matt Williams, who played with the Diamondbacks and then was a big star with the Giants, third baseman. Donovan Osborne from Carson City, and I'm going to leave some guys out, and I don't want to do that, but you're right. There are a tremendous amount of ball players that have come up, matriculated through high school and university, and gone on to play professional baseball.
And that can't but help the Reno Aces as far as people being really excited about baseball.
I agree. Chad Qualls is another one I'm thinking as it goes on. He was came up through the organization, was with Houston, now is with the Diamondback, and he's got a one-year contract because he didn't have a great year last year. But you're right. That whole affiliation with guys that have made it then translates to excitement in baseball, which obviously matriculates down to the Aces. Same thing's happening in basketball right now. The university's had great success with basketball. The Reno Bighorns have had a couple players from the university in their first 3 years playing with them. And so the tie to the community is always essential, and we can see that happening more and more.
Do you think we'll see anybody from Reno playing with the Reno Aces?
Well, Conrad Schmidt caught for the University of Nevada, and I remember calling his games when he played. Not that he was, he was a quality catcher. He was okay. I didn't know, and that's what happens to guys. I've seen it happen when I played baseball many, many years ago, and guys were good players, but major league players. One great example is Joe Morgan. I knew Joe Morgan growing up, was 14, 15-year-olds, and we played against one another for years, and I thought he was a good player. I thought he was the third best player on his team. Joe Morgan's a Hall of Famer. So you talk about guys who get into the professional ranks and then improve, and that's what it's all about. Many players plateau in high school. It's the people who go on after high school and get better, play at a higher level, and then excel. Getting back to your question, Conrad Schmidt, who's now a catcher, he and John Hester are the rotating catchers for the Aces. He came through the University of Nevada system, signed, got up to AAA. He might be the next guy going up.
Wow, so there's someone local to see if you go to a Reno Aces game. You're always fun to have on the show because you love to talk about sports.
I do, thank you.
And you just made me aware of a football team that's starting up in town.
The Reno Barons, as we're taping this, they're scheduled to have their season start. They're playing, supposed to be playing a 7-game home schedule. It's indoor football, and so it's a 50-yard field. It'll be at the Reno Events Center. Seats about 4,000, 4,200. It's an 8-man team. There are 25 guys on the team. And the initial camp they had, again, you talk about local guys. Del Bates went to school in Sparks, played defensive back at the University of Nevada. Kika Kalulu-Au, who a lot of people can't say his name, but I practiced it over the years. He was a lineman at the University of Nevada. He's out of Hawaii. He's on the team. Charles Manu, who was an offensive lineman on the team. And there are 3 or 4 other guys that you know the name Lagrone from McQueen High School. One of the Lagrones was on the roster to start the season. I don't know if he still is or not. There are other players who went to high school in this area, then went on to play college ball in other areas. They really were smart about getting their roster together and bringing people to camp, bringing people in Northern Nevada so people could say, I'm going to go out and watch a Reno Barons game because so-and-so's playing, or I know him, or when he was in high school. So they're getting started, and what kind of a season they'll have and success, hard to tell.
What brought this about?
You know, a gentleman by the name of Ches Jennings, who played football at West Virginia, played at Akron, and then promoted some MMA events and some wrestling events, and kind of a sports guy, decided that he wanted to start a football league. And there are really quite a few indoor leagues across the country. Everybody talks about arena football, and I think that's a trademark name. That's why I use indoor football. But there are small bands of teams across the country that get together and form a league, and that's what he's trying to do to Reno. He's trying to make Reno, for some reason, he knew about the interest of fans about football. University of Nevada capped off their 13-1 season last year. You know, one of the greatest ever in the history of football in Northern Nevada. You have to go back to the Stan Heath and Tommy Kalminer in the days in the 40s, in the late 40s and early 50s when Nevada had nationally ranked football teams. So he knew about football's interest in Northern Nevada, figured, you know what, maybe I can start something there, and that's what he's done. Put together, I think the league consists of about 6 or 7 teams, San Diego, Houston, there's a Washington team, there's a Utah team, there's a team in Stockton. They get together, they'll play initial season, and then hopefully build it into a league next year. Reno, because of the facilities at the Reno Events Center, they're lucky to host. I think they play 8 or 9 games and they'll host 7 of them. So the other places don't have the ability to have the arena when they want it, so it's going to be in Reno. So that's what the genesis of this thing was. We hope he's successful. Have no idea, have never met him personally myself, have no idea, but we hope they're successful.
I think it can't help but help our community.
Well, I hope so too. Football in April, May, and June is kind of a rarity here, you know, other than spring practice.
But well, you never know, the weather's more conducive. It might be more conducive than football.
It could snow. I've been here when it snowed on July 4th, so, you know, in my 40-plus years here. But it's indoor. It's comfortable. Again, you know, we talked about Aces Stadium and the intimacy of Aces Stadium. When you talk about indoor football, the footballs that go in the stands stay in the stands. You know, I mean, they have what they call dasher boards. And players, the out-of-bounds line on the side is the side wall that's protected for players. And you run into that, and they blow the whistle, and you're out of bounds. But if the ball goes in the stands, the deflected pass, whatever it is, fans get to keep it. The intimacy of indoor football, as it's set up at the event center, you're right on top of the field.
Wow.
Yeah, you're right next to the
check this
players.
out.
Yeah, I think you'll have fun at there. And the scoring, I mean, it's all passing. They run the ball just a few times a game, and don't be surprised if you get to a 50-49 football game, because it'll happen frequently.
Wow. Well, back to our original subject of the Reno Aces. We only have a couple of minutes left. You expect a lot of the games to sell out this season?
I think so. You know, last year the only sellout was July 4th, although they had close to sellout many times during the year. I think so, and I think because what you said was I would have not brought up, and I think you're very right about that. They expanded the ticket packages so they're more available to people. Now, before, when people bought the season tickets and they were third base or first base line, some people don't like to sit in the outfield. I mean, I do. I don't mind roaming the outfield and going from right field for a couple of innings and center field and left field, but I think there's more availability of tickets, so it may help increase their attendance. They've done very well in attendance. The smallest community in the AAA, and yet we're in the top echelon of attendance drawn. Sacramento outdraws everybody all the time. They have done well. They've done very well down there. The River Cats have done well, but Reno has done well also in their first 2 years. They've been a delight. They've been, like I say, not capacity crowds, but good crowds. And when the weather's good, people just flock to the stadium because it's easy to get to. You can even ride your bicycle to the stadium. We talked about that before, and a few people do.
Well, and I think a team, it takes a couple of years for a team to build interest and to get people to really buy into it and become loyal fans.
And they'll know more of the players this year. There are quite a few of them back from last year. Successful year. They didn't have a winning record, but like I said earlier when in our interview started, is they've got some guys that are just, I mean, a half step away from being in the major leagues. I think they're going to have a very successful year on the field, and I think people will respond to that. Everybody likes to go to see a game where their team wins.
Yeah.
I think the Aces are going to win more than their share this year.
Oh, let's hope so. So it's always a pleasure to bring you on the show, and especially to talk about baseball.
You know, I can't believe that the game was invented the way it was, and the bases were 90 feet, and the pitching mound 60 feet, and it's been that way for years, and it's always worked out just right.
Thank you so much. So go out and see a Reno Aces baseball game, and thank you all for joining us on this Reno TV.